Leah's next words almost stopped my heart. Your world is slowly being converted into a place inappropriate for life. We desire to sound an alarm at once, exposing several reasons. Starvation is not a sentence, it is only the result of world disorganization. You have not dutifully capitalized the goods of the earth. There is indignity, ambition, pride, and you manipulate entire populations, blackmailing them with grains and greens. It is time that you begin to enjoy a true peace in your world. It is time to show the intergalactic humanity that you also have the right to life and knowledge. But this you must authentically earn. Changes overcome me. Absorbed in my thoughts, I had not realized that all around me had come to a stop. Escaping from my reality is when I can remember what Leah had told me days before. I shiver not only to remember, but to simply pronounce her name, to know that she, at some point in this vast universe, has found the answer for her presence in this world. I looked toward the window and I noticed that it had become dark outside. It was already late. At this point in the infinite in which I had touched life, clouds had gathered and were forming immense cumulus masses that undulated violently, sketching fantastic configurations in the blue sky. I watched it rain and was moved by the fury with which the drops of water lashed the window. Leah had given me an incalculable inheritance. She had taught me to love my world with all my being, and what I encountered today revolted me. But there was something very important about this. I had changed too, not only at the emotional level, but at a psychic level as well. Where was it that I got this? I had considered the conversations that I had obtained with Leah and the slow but inexorable change in me a great deal, which at times I did not myself comprehend. My conduct had changed, sensitizing me to a high degree, but this I did not ask for, nor did I solicit any change. No, this did not come in any rapid manner. It was slow, like sparks of metamorphosis. These changes at first were spaced out until each time they came more frequently. My mind had expanded, and my power of concentration had become sharpened. I could perceive any sound in great detail, and surprisingly could repeat such any time I desired, and analyze it completely, including its musical derivations, if it had any. All for me now had no beginning nor end, nor rise nor decline. It is as if each point in my imagination suffers thousands and thousands of changes. My thoughts separate into interesting concepts. All that occurs to me is subjected to profound analysis by me. I am sure that because of my encounters with Leah, all in my life has suffered a transformation. My mind has been modified. It is as if I am living within a cortex where all has great reason for being. For example, if I think on the word mind, this same thought stimulates my imagination, and my capacity to discern comes to me immediately. Then I see a brain, thousands of concepts recorded in it, and a movement induced through the same thought like energy in vortice which generates these stimulus. The same word suffers a distortion far beyond my knowledge of it, far beyond the explanation for this word found in a dictionary. I had asked myself many times if in this manner the human being could utilize a greater percentage of his capacity for concentration and learning, surpassing the normal levels in any individual. This situation, or mental state, is that which I had opted to call power of infinite concentration, for lack of any other concept, and moreover, still from previous knowledge concerning this phenomenon, had brought really an indescribable change to my life. For example, if I perceived a determined aroma, let us say of a flower, to my mind would come innumerable ideas of landscapes where such a flower could have originated. I would think of its origins, from the unicellular beginning of the seed to the single representation of color, and previously registered in its respective seed. I would immediately know its possibilities of duration, then perceive a succession of ideas about how to plant and grow them, in what parts of the world resistance to climate, its industrialization, medicinal as well as for food, its possibilities for grafting and for sprouting, finally its formula and then its preservation, all this without reading about it in any other place. Leah had explained to me how only one page could contain hundreds of formulas according to their own characteristics. Well then, it is as if I myself have been converted into a computerized being to an undefined level. Now let us apply this to my personal life. For example, when I see a man, whatever his ancestry might be, I perceive various characteristics, his extraordinary ones, levels of vibrational frequency, his origins, his blood chemistry composition, and other questions. On the other hand, there comes, to my mind, the origin of the DNA and the gene from which he descended, and I can know if he descended then from a mixed or a pure race, how many generations have passed before him to his present state, from that obtaining his hereditary character, and from when, as well as his physical characteristics. If I meet a man of the Negro or Japanese race, we consider both of those pure races. Upon taking his hand, I can perceive his vibratory waves more or less acutely, depending on the biological chemical combinations of his genetic makeup and other traits which for questions of reproduction have been modified. I can compare him with others which have been mixed and with various races that emit various frequencies. These two races have a characteristic odor, and their glands are different from those of the white races. I can perceive his spiritual state by means of his stimulus and know then his tendencies and the nature of his thoughts. Leah told me one time, "You will someday understand my form of being and of thought, because you yourself will experience something much like what occurs with me, and that what for me is normal for you is incomprehensible, for that when haga experiencia todas situaciones que se han narrado, they all will come to the conclusion that on the planet of Leah such phenomena could also occur, and that it is very possible that she possesses characteristics perhaps more sharp and elevated than that which I experience." One time Leah had said to me, "If you could listen, you would be delighted with the beautiful sound of your universe itself." Little by little I began to understand the quality of her development to that level of mental perception, and me it seemed a formidable and powerful omen or sign. It convinced me one more time that the human race, a valuable representative element of his existence, had lost this marvelous ability in some lamentable and deplorable form. For me, to experience this was to reach the stars with my hands. But what could I do with this in a world like ours? Could I do something when I perceived that some human being suffered intensely with his health? Could I avoid a continental level of confrontation? No. Then I remembered that as a human being I could be, through this sensitivity recently acquired, an easily vulnerable being. Leah said to me, "As you know, the atmospheric perturbations that frequently are registered on your planet come from space. It is there where the innumerable climactic changes are born. Nevertheless, those are the result of major phenomena, some natural, others artificial." She paused a moment and then continued, "Space offers an infinite accumulation of surprises. When we came here for the first time, you were registering on your calendar the year 1249, and the planet, absolutely, was very different from what you find today. We crew members of the ship exhibited our surprise at the simplicity of the people, utilizing rudimentary weapons when we already possessed a technology that would have evoked great surprise among those inhabitants of each one of the societies that we encountered at that time in conflict." "In the manner that you arrived before?" I asked without believing that she had heard me. Yes, but my charge was not the same as it is now. Then we simply studied, and my first trip was only exploratory. And now your trip is likewise to explore? Not necessarily, but you will know later why. Now let me continue explaining the atmospheric changes with relationship to the forms of life existing between the years 1200 and 1350. During this lapse of time we made various trips, at least one each 20 years. We discovered that the climatic changes curiously influence the comportment of the Earth people. Your planet, Professor, belongs to those planets, inhabited ones of the group that you call the Milky Way, and it is an extremely fickle body. There is a great diversity of climate around this tiny world. This is because of modifications in your solar system. Well, as a result of those changes being analyzed, we discovered some surprises in space. Cosmic clouds, or intermittently radioactive clouds as we call them, were encountered with unusual frequency. They almost drove us away step by step. They are not detectable by the human eye. Our sensors locate them and we evade contact. We have special sensors for our space navigation. For us, these clouds, because of the ability to detect and avoid them, are not dangerous and thus represent no threat. With the objective of protecting ourselves, we open a compartment door and expel a neutralizing gas whose principal component is highly concentrated oxygen. Nevertheless, for you it is offensive. It would damage your world, it would provoke change in radio waves, turbulence in the air and in your electricity, and would generate problems by the alteration of the energy wavelengths. But the most important damage would be to your neurons, our explosive atmosphere. Where do these clouds come from? I asked. Their origins, she answered, are diverse. These clouds also have various chemical components, gaseous, and many times such components are not the same due to the effect of fusion between one gas and another. The least percentage of them is inoffensive, but a greater part is highly dangerous. You and your scientists have chosen a bad time for your nuclear tests because the liberated energy of the atom attracts these clouds like a magnet, actually surrounding the Earth and adhering to the stratosphere. Sometimes they orbit, forming transparent rings around the Earth. In the years 1220 to 1300, those clouds, not finding any point of support in the stratosphere, were repelled by the enormous mantle of oxygen encountered on your planet. In that manner, a large part of the gases was repelled. With the passage of time, the damage, though detectable, left minimum residual effects. We found cosmic clouds far beyond the system expelled in a certain way by spatial inertia. But today the characteristics of the chemical and nuclear weapons is such that it will be difficult, I must tell you, to disperse them from the environs of the Earth. I must tell you something else. Some substances that make up these gases are highly explosive. The space satellites could contribute something to this. But really the majority only detects some anomalies, and many times these are not appropriately interpreted by your scientists for lack of a point of comparison. This phenomenon is unknown to your scientists, and those gases, highly dangerous and, as I told you, explosive, could make your Earth vanish if anyone would expel a gas that would stimulate the cosmic clouds. The slightest cover contains heavy particles, whose special components are nitrogen, hydrogen, and oxygen, among others, as well as lead emitted by the contamination from some countries. This is beginning to cover your planet like a cupola, like a dome. The unmoderated mixture will deprive the neutralizing elements such as oxygen of beneficial effect. Other clouds come from other places. Some only are converted into light gases as they travel through space, but others come to form veritable communities of clouds of such form that visibility is not possible through many kilometers of space. In the system from where you come, there is a band of what you would call photons. Also, there is one in the Pleiades, and it is from there that we have ties of scientific interchange with them. We denominate this phenomenon as one of transformation. This is because an organism, when it makes contact with the photon, human beings, animals, and plants, suffers profound transformations. There is immediate organic disintegration. Well then, like with the cells, those atoms propagate, and when the nebulosity becomes overcharged, it explodes and expels these clouds throughout the universe. They travel slowly, considering that there are no gases to transport these nebulas, and as they are very heavy, their movement is slow. They do not come very far, but in space they reach enormous distances. Some of these clouds have come in various ages to the Earth. The photon was known in rudimentary form, without calculations of propagation and distance, and absolutely lacking of precautions, because in these different epochs in which these clouds of gases were present, the terrestrials were not prepared. Nor are you prepared today, despite your advances in technology, because you don't take much time to look up with the proper knowledge. You fill your space with useless debris without thinking of the dangers that also will come from the outside. But what does that mean? How must we study? You know that the terrestrian always has needed a comparative point and determine the nature of some object or thing in question. Frequently they detect chemical components through metaphysical calculations, biologies, physics, etc. The origin of all this is precisely in the contrary del momento de molecules y es developmente de gasolinen sa effecte. Antimatter. Antimatter? The professor asked. You could give it that name for an approximation, but it is not exactly antimatter, Leah said, because to exist as such, antimatter would have to possess a force equal to the matter, but in a negative manner of form which would have neither positive pole nor negative pole. Only one culminating point of absorption of whatever of that which the major chemical components possess, and thus determines its force. But that which you call antimatter must be that which absorbs the matter. Isn't that it? According to some theories of your world, you could think that, taking into account that in space all is surprising, the matter would cease to absorb the antimatter. Precisely with the intelligence that there exists more bodies, but that is not the case. The non-existence of parity, of equality in space, is matched in the universe. The nothing, as I told you, is greater than the all as you know. Now then, that is another concept that still is not known on Earth. Confused, I asked, how does one explain this? In a simple manner. In space, not only is there the all and the nothing, the matter and the antimatter, but the field of energy that between those two concepts. In your path, matter can transform all kinds of life, including destroy it. Antimatter would succeed in imposing itself even against all the living elements, but this neutral energy always overcomes to impose itself, even against the antimatter elements. In space, all seems to move in the same vibratory rhythm, though the enormous pulsars vibrate in a different manner than the satellites, all having their own movement. Because of this, when the band of photons came dangerously close to our system millenniums ago, our ancestors did not know how to avoid its noxious effects, and some worlds surrounded by it perished, and with them the capacity for life. Inhabited worlds were completely desolated after the passage of the photons. That energy eliminated all vestiges of life. For that reason, some civilizations were rescued and reimplanted on other inhabitable worlds. But before this, for the lack of knowledge, our ancestors asked many times what had happened. It was as if suddenly a planet with inhabitants was converted into an absolutely hybrid planet. The end of photons is one of the greatest threats that exists in the universe, though this is not as dangerous as other clouds in other galaxies. This only absorbs energy from living cells. Does that seem little? I asked in surprise. It is that there exist other classes of antigens. Some completely absorb the systems with stars and planets, though it is a characteristic process because later it vomits them and they come to take their original form, though the orbit can change. But other planetary bodies dissolve in the collision with that which you call antimatter. Other types of energy feed on the gases which they encounter sporadically in space, and others of light, though their nature may be cold and dark. But what are they? I asked without understanding. They are antigens whose transparency is such that they seem inoffensive. It is an invisible force, like with energy. You can feel it, but you cannot see it. That characteristic is essential to that force. And unfortunately, many systems, including your solar system, are headed toward a band of photons. Of course, it will take many years to get there, perhaps decades of years, but now is a good time to prepare yourselves so that your sciences advance to benefit and not prejudice you, to construct a protection for the beings who inhabit the earth. The earth is a colony, rich in genes of diverse forms. The multitude of races shows that it is an exceptional colony for reimplantation. There still are civilizations more or less pure. The threat does not only hang over your planet, but all of your solar system is exposed. I have told you before that in space it seems like the bodies move in harmony, but it is not exactly thus. Some move slowly and others complete their orbits more rapidly. Above, all those bodies whose mineral characteristics make them slighter, not in weight but in conductivity, react differently with each other. It is as if the travel of a planet is facilitated more when it has more of this so-called electrical energy. That is an example only to illustrate what I am trying to say. Well, some travel several times their own system or galaxy. Your planet, in doing this, has already entered the influence of those photons on many occasions. It has not penetrated them directly, but the influence was felt from millions of your kilometers of distance away. Nevertheless, around your year 2025 or 2026, you will feel this influence ever more strongly. But your scientists will think that it is a new kind of energy coming from space. The photon threatens from the gigantic depths of the universe. This and the magnetic band that surrounds your planet presents the greater danger for the future of your humanity. In earlier times, at least 14,000 years ago, your planet passed through the girdle of photons. The disasters did not leave much hope, though many of the reptiles did not suffer as greatly as before, because the influence was light. And even so, the elements were released, the Earth lost its orbital coordination. But then the Earth did not have the great number of human beings that it has now. What was it that happened? Well, I must tell you that many things occurred. You still had not entered the photonic band, and already the oceans were agitated by great turbulences, and the terrestrial plates were moving. The animals suffered gigantically from molecular stimulation, and this was scarcely the beginning. The scientists from other worlds knew the approximate nature of this phenomenon, and their technology brought them to construct great subterranean caverns and structures which at a determined time would be able to repel this type of aggressive energy. One advanced civilization had come in anticipation of the problem, and they constructed an enormous cupola dome on the bottom of the ocean. As you know, hydrogen and oxygen repel all kinds of radioactivity, and they knew this. But the cupola dome did not have sufficient capacity for all the inhabitants, even though there were not too many then. They made the selection and took down those who now, notwithstanding the conditions, were in agreement and believed as well that at least 10 years in the depths of the sea would be needed to survive and continue without suffering the damage possible as a result of the influence of the antigens. The least tiny error could provoke unforeseen damages. Incredibly, many people remained on the surface facing the dangers. Others were able to descend, and many more entered the deepest of the great caves than had been excavated in the earth. Many disappeared completely. The scientists of my planet, my father among them, were desperate because they saw the earth so threatened and did not know how to explain the threat to the terrestrials involved. The scientists of my planet came to the earth to help. Some descended to examine the cupola, dome. They examined and selected some animals. Due to the fact that the cupola, dome could suffer from overpopulation, the majority of the mammals were subjected to a prolonged glandular alteration. This treatment of the glands is completely inoffensive with our procedures because they can be re-stimulated when proliferation of the species is desired. If the scientists of your world knew this, they would not utilize so many chemical compounds to avoid uncontrolled conception. Why didn't they construct the cupola, dome on the surface? If the photon band should contain particles that consume oxygen, your humanity would not have much advantage, and lacking this vital element could be extinguished as a humanity. This would not be the case in the depths of the sea because oxygen could be extracted from the waters. Professor Hernandez began to feel despondent over all these previously unknown to him threats and the precariousness of human life on Earth. He worried a good deal about the fate of Earth, humanity, and wondered how other planets successfully survived such things in their natural evolution. It was about this time also that Leah told him of even worse menaces, threats to his very survival, created by terrestrial man himself, such as we are doing in a number of ways today with our atomic, chemical, and biological weapons of such efficiency that they can wipe out all living things on this planet at the pleasure of the aberrant and deviant humanity that lives here. Leah told him of a terrible weapon created here on Earth in the past by men living here that still could wipe out all living things and even the Earth itself, an antimatter weapon. Many civilizations have come to our planet in different epochs in search of more powerful weapons. Leah explained to me that beings from planets of higher knowledge intend to save them by taking them out of reach of terrestrial man, who day by day becomes more belligerent and aggressive. This information was given to me today, though I assured her, Leah, that it would be dangerous to give it publicity. Why tell it? The nations will annihilate each other for the possession of such a weapon. But before entering into personal reflections, I will tell you now, it was that Leah brought to my knowledge what I have called the diabolic weapon. Today I am speaking of a most powerful weapon whose longevity has extended back over the centuries. An ominous, aggressive force has been guarding in the marine depths this weapon, since our world has been studied for a long time by beings of other planets, with the intent to evade knowledgeable examination of their conformation and appearance. It was here that she told me, according to my memory, 6 million years before your own time, the continents were found to form only one territory, and the nations were relatively close to one another. But then, one night, the sea swallowed an entire city which you call Atlantis. The race who lived in the center of this great continent were drowned when the land split in two. They had come to be highly knowledgeable, but their ambition to know ever more and more brought them to total ruin. There, in that large city, the great Atlantean scientists struggled to reach martial supremacy, warlike supremacy. They wanted to control the galaxy without having the mental capacity to achieve it. The intended result was to obtain absolute dominion over your world and of the whole system. Those, the Atlanteans, had come from the third planet of this solar system, which then was Maldek. This third planet was a refuge for beings coming from Sion, whose powerful sciences had made them invincible. Nevertheless, those scientists were divided by frictions among themselves, and some, also scientists, emigrated to Earth. The Earth then occupied the fourth place in this solar system. As colonists of the Earth, they became undesirable and intolerable to the inhabitants who had been established before, to perversity and the domination they exercised through their sophisticated arms and weapons with which they subjugated the smaller nations. The Earth came to be an enormous receptor of beings coming from other worlds, of which the diversity of creeds and customs as well as the genetic differences was great. The recently populated planet attracted many civilizations due to the richness in minerals it contained. At that time there was only one continent, Pangaea. Your planet was something like a great greenhouse observed with great suspicion from the enormous planet Maldek. Once on the Earth, those emigrant scientists explored the origin of man, utilizing animals in danger of extinction, causing terrible and monstrous mutations between human and animal genes. They captured animals of other worlds for experimentation in fields not only of genetics, but of clones, and the monsters they produced in the laboratory were released more than once in circuses of diversion, confronting them with slaves and prisoners. Their experiments encompassed great fields of study, even coming to include tests of human resistance to poisonous gases which provoked genetic imitations in the descendants of those humans, causing thus themselves uncontrollable epidemics which isolated entire nations. The Maldekians became very worried, but the terrestrials were not interested in applying restrictions imposed in accordance with cosmic agreements, and they rebelled against the laws of Maldek, where the respect for life was the first mandate to be considered. There were great astronomers who, knowing the exact movement of each one of the bodies in your solar system, upon perfecting the antimatter weapon, discovered a way to modify the orbits of each one of them. The stars radiate energy in sufficient quantity to power ships at a great distance. Nevertheless, despite what they had achieved, the terrestrial Atlanteans were not satisfied with their accomplishments and wanted to reach greater power on the planet Earth than that which had been achieved by the scientists of Maldek. They had at their disposition many forms of acquiring dominion over science, but they did not know enough about something that disturbed them: antimatter. Remember, Professor, that antimatter surrounds matter, that there is more empty space in the galaxies than planets which it surrounds, after which then the nothing is much greater than that which itself exists. Moreover, the dead are attracted enormously by it. It is frequently asked, in the same way that you ask today, where do the dead go? Over the years of profound study and experimentation on anxiously trying to control the power of the magnetic vortex that produces life, they succeeded in discovering the anti-magnetic origin of the same existence. They suspected that a powerful energy produced life, but they ignored the significance that it was that which sustained the nothing in the galaxy. They wanted to dominate the psyche in the human being, and the biological energy that moves man, as well as the dynamics that sustain the movement of the planets, the suns, and the stars. They were ambitious to obtain the immense power to dominate and subject the universe itself. Then it was when they came to perfect a weapon authorized only to the great civilizations, a weapon that converted living bodies into antimatter space. This weapon annihilated all and absolutely all of a living being. You know that matter dies, but the energetic essence, bioenergetic psyche, survives. It is a powerful mental energy that retains a great quantity of vitality and whose memory persists through the centuries. This is the energy that moves you and me and all others. The planets which possess life possess memory. Well, those lesser Atlanteans, the terrestrians, so to speak, of the time, upon creating this powerful weapon, were able with it to annihilate also the energy that moves us, the same that you call spirit. But let us return to Maldek, Intergalactic law prohibited weapons such as this to civilizations or scientists such as those that demonstrated imprudence and insensible rebellion. The law of mutual respect was lost among the diversity of races and creeds that began to multiply on your world. Since the Earth and your solar system is on the edge of this galaxy, the terrestrials knew they were isolated from the greater civilizations that exist in the galaxy, and for such knew that they were secure from any inspection on the part of those civilizations, at least for a certain time. That weapon possessed an anti-nuclear reactor and anti-energy, and was as well a molecular disintegrator, magnetic destabilizer, force neutralizer, and receptor of energy of any class. With it, they could control life and movement. The new weapon was called an antimatter device, and it gave them a power never possessed before. The difference between the antimatter weapon and the conventional arms of that time was abysmal. The common arms then possessed could exterminate matter, but not the organic energy. But the new and sensational discovery, as it seemed to them, permitted them to destroy the psychic and spiritual energy of the human being. This weapon could exterminate both entities, the material and the spiritual. Pardon, Leah, I do not understand what you say with both entities, I ask. Ah, you give the name spirit and matter to those psychic and organic components of the human being. They both are in titles. What you call spirit is indestructible by conventional death. Its energy continues even after death. But this weapon absolutely exterminated all of the vibrational or psychic being, whether it was in motion or not. And once it was activated toward an objective, it would destroy it searching, but the sound, being guided by the respiration of people in the area or by the expiration of the vegetation, it leveled entire cities and forests, being the only absorber of all its energy and could disintegrate them. This weapon alarmed the rest of the Maldekians who sought, without result, for ways to resist it. Its powerful force exterminated all living cells, no matter how small they were. It could change or modify the course of any planet, no matter how big it seemed, and could provoke catastrophes in solar systems such as yours, causing collisions of the orbiting worlds by creating an anti-magnetic vortex current. The creation of this monstrous weapon worried the Maldekians so much that they felt responsible for whatever might happen on the earth. They were decided by such to come to your planet, to finally try to dissuade those to abandon the project and return to the times of peace. But it was already too late, the terrestrials having advanced too much, knowing that this gave them ample power among great interplanetary scientists. The Maldekians, repeatedly confronted by the resistance of the terrestrials, decided by themselves to deactivate this weapon, though they knew that they risked the stability of your world. Despite all, their intentions were in vain. The terrestrials decided to shield this weapon beneath an enormous pyramid which they guarded day and night. Upon seeing this, the Maldekians declared war, which lasted almost 1 year. It was a belligerent confrontation, as difficult as powerful, between identical force structures. Nevertheless, the terrestrials had decided to use the weapon when the time came. Once more, in the midst of that conflict, the scientists of Maldek returned to negotiations to convince the Atlanteans to desist in their decision, but the latter responded with more frequent bellicose and belligerent aggressions. They would not abandon that symbol of their new power. The terrestrials were not prudent, nor characterized by respect for cosmic law, always having violated those of their own civilization. Upon refusing to deliver or to deactivate this weapon, which nullified cellular life and threatened technology, all bioorganic energy, and the peace of the solar system, they reinforced anew the fraternal struggle. In the fury of battle, the terrestrials lost terrain, greater civilizations of other solar systems came to aid the Maldekians. It was then when the terrestrials decided to activate that powerful weapon focused to make the planet Maldek lose its magnetic field to the end, that it would provoke collisions with its nearer planets, the nearest being Mars. Upon losing its orbit, the planet Maldek lost enormous amounts of energy. The scientists discovered that such had been lost, and one night decided to destroy the powerful force that encouraged the aggressiveness and the power of the terrestrials. A powerful ray projected from the Maldekian laboratories fell upon that great city Atlantis, dividing the continent in two, and it was this that opened that great portion of the earth, and that fatal night the entire city was drawn completely beneath the ocean. Other lesser cities had been alerted that a great inundation was about to flood inhabited land, and some of those constructed, with the help of the scientists of Maldek, enormous embarkations and ships in which they rescued those who desired to flee such danger. Upon dividing in two, the enormous continent broke up and killed also many innocents, sinking slowly into the sea that had surprised the great city, and displacing the divided territories, one toward the east and the other toward the west, losing the magnetic pole of the earth. From then it is still errant and traveling. The earth, your planet, changed its orbit, and during much time great inundations and floods fell upon innocent nations ignorant of that conflict. Today the continents continue moving, causing the emergence from the waters of territories that were submerged in that night. Your world is in continual movement since then. The planet Maldek continued losing orbital energy for some time, until its inhabitants emigrated to other worlds which gave them asylum. Finally, that planet entered on collision courses with Mars and Jupiter, and even your own Earth. Its enormous aerolites and meteorites fell like a rain of stars on the adjacent planets. Some of that cosmic dust still is found in the rings of Saturn, and others were reaccommodating themselves in the region that today you call asteroids. That weapon remains within a great pyramid on the bed of the sea off the state of Florida, between a string of islets you call Bimini. I looked at her incredulously. She knew that I was not very sure to admit and to digest that history. I felt humiliated. Subtly I asked, "Is it still in the ocean?" "Yes, Professor," she responded. "And the stellar community is worried now more than ever, because the sun's rays now aid then provoke the activation of its force, which though weak still can provoke magnetic changes on your world and molecular disintegrations. This antimatter weapon still manifests its terrible effects in imprecise and inexact form, but with sufficient frequency for the scientists of your world to be attentive to what occurred in that place. It makes the compasses, the communications, and the marine navigation suffer alterations with considerable regularity. It still moves energies in vortex when it detects living energy in its surroundings, once activated by solar force, and its anti-molecular field is stimulated when it detects any kind of apparatus moved by reaction. In fact, it moves with the sound. It still is manipulatable and highly dangerous, and for you, there is no way to get to it on pain of exposure to its force, as destructive as it is powerful. After so many years, is it still as deadly as you say?" I asked. "Actually, Professor," she responded emphatically, "there are still many stellar civilizations striving to obtain it, and, though not obtaining permission from the greater civilizations, travel to your world, to study, to analyze, and to seek, to extract it, but neither they nor yourselves, but only greater. Civilizations who have sufficient knowledge and who totally control anti-energy and antimatter can deactivate it. Can you do it, Leah?" "Of course, Professor." "Remember that pertains to a scientific and exploration group, but it would be such as to expose your planet to the emission of antimatter forces. We profoundly respect life, not only material, but energetic as well. Our principles are based on care for the species and the nurturing of them. Could we someday control this adequately? Under your present circumstances, no. The scientists of your world, with your science and your knowledge, still do not understand perfectly the control of the forces of hyperspace for navigation, nor that you need enormous forces of energy to control your ships. The exploration of space will cost you millions of hours still before you understand the dangers of space. Because of that, you could not control it sufficiently to bring it to the surface without your people suffering terrible genetic effects. Upon bringing it to the terrestrial surface, cities situated hundreds of kilometers away could disappear in an instant, as has already happened in antiquity. The extraterrestrial ships could do this, but the evacuation of energy would be fatal to many of you. Only a very advanced civilization could do it, otherwise the magnetic field of your world suffers notable modifications. These other civilizations of which you speak, do you know their location? Effectively, Professor, the anti-energy emission is detectable by our sensors. Many cosmic civilizations know its location. You will know also, because very soon the scientists of your world will try to get to where it is, but few or almost none know really what it is and what it represents, much less detecting its origin. Many ships which pass through this anti-magnetic field, launch towards space, suffer alterations in their navigation program, for which accidents sometimes happen. Such ships with their energy force stimulate the anti-magnetic power by their passage. Leah, is it really possible that the American scientists have already detected this? Of course. I already said before that some scientists are worried by what occurs in that zone. But listen carefully, Professor. Your destiny is being slowly changed. I did not say that you are elected, but if you are fortunate enough to know this, you should not release this information due to what happens to a world without cosmic supremacy. We believe that your world should know what exists there, and we also believe that your society must become more peaceful before having the exact knowledge of this weapon, to be able to accept the idea of living in peace and never use it against any civilization, but already there is not enough time. Beings of other minor races, rebellious, imprudent, and ambitious, would take it at any price. They know that if they leave it there, someday it could be used against them or against others. Today, the terrestrial generations are moving toward more belligerent confrontations. On our world, as on many others, the children are trained to the consciousness of the living being and intelligent as such because they know that someday they will inherit the planet, then later they try to develop optimum courses of quality and higher intelligence. But the children of your planet live in violence day after day. All of your marvelous apparatus of communication show them wars between one and another country without them knowing exactly why they fight. The continuity of these events predispose them to aggressiveness. The parents exercise no control over this because they don't know how to do it. The best and worst of these assurances are given under the bosom moment, and those are the generations that will someday guide the destiny of your planet. The level of superhuman consciousness is unknown. The respect for life is discarded. Love is conditionally controlled, without knowing that this is the sentiment that must improve as the beginning of respect for people. Human values do not as such, and even continue showing the child a world without love, full of violence, of hate, of rancor, bitterness, of ambition, and of ignorance. Your world is one of those produced by diverse ideologies tarnishing this beautiful blue planet. Discordances of pride and power strive to show that peace is only obtained by war, subtle as well as perverse circumstances in a decadent world. You still have a place in the galaxy. The civilizations that survive acquire a place by right. If a society or civilization does not survive as such, it has no right to possess this weapon nor any other, because it has demonstrated arbitrarily in the control of others it will have no right to have knowledge of this. Too many wars, Professor, have filled the fields of battle with blood. For what then would you possess such a weapon as this? It would only serve you for the destruction of one another. The first universal law is knowledge. After this one obtains possession. If you prefer to guard this that I have told you in secret, then do it. I am not obliging you to tell it, but it is important that your world know that they must reevaluate their own attitude toward their own planet. Your sciences, Professor, have destroyed vast lands in honor of nuclear experiment. You are destroying your own habitat. It is giving birth to a new generation of aggressive irrationals. But you yourselves are the only ones capable of changing this. Your world is not prepared for this power. Professor, your world will encounter really alarming signs that beings of other worlds intend to come to your planet from different spatial coordinates. That weapon, as bait, attracts extraterrestrials of diverse races and of distinct level, which still has not encountered. The method of developing one similar. If someone decided to try to recover it, you would be exposed to its immense disintegrational field, or could go mad if this field is weakening. Many animals in migration avoid by instinct passing where this weapon is found, though I can tell you that in one night entire flocks were literally swallowed up by the anti-energy without your being told. Life in space is uncertain for the anti-energy that surrounds it. The worlds of superior intelligence survive. Hundreds of clouds of antimatter swarm to the length of entire galaxies, absorbing celestial bodies in their passage. This I have already explained to you before, that civilization which does not know these dangers succumbs before them. For that, the knowledge of the great intergalactic scientists is important, since only they know the great mysteries enclosed in the universe. My father is a great scientist. We know through him the most secure lines of intercosmic navigation. While this force is concentrated in a small receptacle fixed in some place between those islands that I mentioned, there will come a time when you will work on molecular and anti-molecular disintegration without utilizing the atomic level. It will not be easy, but neither impossible, since you possess the genetic level for the investigation to develop it. You want the power of a planet without having discovered still the secret of longevity to enjoy the gains that you actually have. For so small is the ambition, and much less the time that you live to see the fruits of this science you contribute to, but continues to advance, even if those who control all these forces are children today, those to whom you have brought aggression and violence. The time that it would take to deactivate this weapon by the scientists of the best advanced countries of your world would be unpredictable, as would also be the effects that it could cause, but someone or a group could begin to undertake the idea of the deactivation, always with peaceful intent, on the contrary of which your world would be converted into an arid planet like many others in the universe, if for some reason they moved with imprudence. Also, I must tell you that some scientists of your world are experimenting with weapons of such sophistication that it will not take long before they come to understand the nature of the antimatter which the ocean guards. I say to you, Professor, you who has studied high levels of nuclear energy for your world, and what in our levels still is found in primary phase, understand that it represents a grave threat to your world, but also for ulterior civilizations. Leah, don't you think that it would have been preferable that you not admit me to this? I would not be loyal with you, Professor, if I shut up without advising you of problems that confront your civilization. This is the most terrible legacy that you have received from the past, which nevertheless you do not know. Another legacy that you have received is genetic modification, through which you have such short lifetimes. Your duty, Professor, is to plant the seed of knowledge. If you do this, perhaps it will bear fruit, perhaps no. That depends on the terrain in which you plant and sow it. The peace of the planet must take priority until the men of Earth succeed in evolving to a scientific level respectful of the forms of life that surround them. I have shown you the tendency to decadence. Each time, during one determined cycle on your world, you reach a level of knowledge or cosmic level in your moral formation within the decadence. Leah, could you show me the exact place where this weapon can be found? I will take you there, Professor, and we both will observe that great pyramid from the bed of the ocean. You will probably be surprised by its inoffensive appearance, but within that same is found the weapon that is capable of exterminating your whole world. You will observe also the ruins that it has made in its descent. The ocean jealously guards its secret, and the water in some manner attenuates and reduces its effects, though not all, and for that it remains being highly dangerous to approach. The magnetic field of our ship repels all anti-energy force. Remember, Professor, when your car would not start? Our negativizer of energy is powerful, but for us this weapon is important. You will go with me, Professor, I promise you. This is the maximum proof offered by an inhabitant of Inkstria to a man of Earth. Many will not believe you. That incredulous attitude of the people of your world permits us to descend to your planet with total security, though we only make ourselves visible before those who desire to see us. And I said to you, Professor, that nobody is going to believe you, but a few scientists will see answers to their questions in the lines that you write. They will believe. Professor, though not all? Since that day I have reflected much on what Leah said. I worry that her words will continue coming true as has happened before, and if that is it, will other races come to continue visiting our planet with the intent to carry away this weapon? Then why orbit tracking satellites and install enormous radars if we continue being a civilization of minor knowledge to them? I have consigned this information to my diary so as to not forget all that this extraterrestrial woman taught me. The extraterrestrial photographed. After our lengthy and substantial conversations, Leah left in me a change, a longing to begin to search into the vastness of the universe which surrounds us. I began to carry my camera with me in my automobile. I wanted to have objective proof of her existence, a photograph of her or her ship. I asked her that spring day in March if she would permit me to photograph her. She looked at me, not into my eyes, but directly at my forehead. Immediately in my eyes I felt a vacancy. Why? She asked me delicately, sweetly. Leah, if perhaps sometime I would want to give publicity to that which we have talked about, if for some reason I would want to transmit the message you have brought me, they are going to ask for proofs. Who will ask you that? Well, perhaps the editor, perhaps the people who will read about it. Finally, Professor, when I came down to your world, I needed to do it suitably protected, not only for me, but also for you. I am surrounded by an anti-magnetic and anti-gravitational halo. Before, decades of years ago, this halo could be seen by simple sight. Because of this, many of the appearances of mine were taken as divine. I have mentioned this to you before, but now we have overcome this. To get myself around in your terrestrial space, I must be suitably equipped. My anti-magnetic field many times nullifies that which moves in your world with common energy. The battery in your watch, for example, exploded and was destroyed. Your car at times will not start, as you say. Imagine what could happen upon taking a photograph. It is useless. I had thought of this many times. Nevertheless, I continued carrying my camera. I never knew when she would return. I had full conviction that it was going to be soon. And finally it occurred. Some days later I came to see her very near Tlatelolco. I saw her in the full light of day. in the fullness of her extraordinary beauty, which I thought was certainly worth the effort of trying to take her photograph. She, upon sensing my intention, took one step back from me, of about a meter, because her body is highly aesthetic and elastic. She advances or walks with great steps with surprising ease. I followed, actuating the camera button several times. She stopped not very far away, but I could tell that she advanced a meter or more with each step. She looked at me and smiled, slightly moving her head in the negative. "It will not come out, Professor. And it is not that I have denied you the opportunity to do this. I must descend to your world protected. Without it, if I came close to you with the germs that are brought from space, your people would die. You have no antibodies to repel the germs of space. I have already spoken to you of this. Look into the camera, and I will carefully guard the picture in my portfolios. I fervently desired that someone or something would appear in the photograph. There appeared in the picture a being that looked oily, the first photograph. I analyzed it carefully. It was, though anthropomorphic, a phantom, luminous, and in proportion greater than Leah herself. I could not be deluding myself. It was her. Nobody is going to believe this, but myself, yes. I had photographed a luminous halo that surrounded and protected her. My hands trembled. It was the only image that appeared, and the rest of the shots showed no trace. Leah knew that our cameras and phones are really primitive, one might say, archaic before their great advances, and only if they desire it can they be photographed. I really needed to have proof. I remained suspended between fear and intrigue. I wanted to demonstrate to myself that she existed. I had jealously guarded for such a long time the secret of our meetings, and it was driving me crazy. I wanted to fill myself with equanimity. I knew that a change was taking place in me, but I myself did not know what confronted me. I tried to explain this to myself through science, but I must admit to being afraid at times. The nights I waited stood out clearly, imprisoned in my own subconscious. I was tied to something I did not understand, which was and is something that could be true or not entirely true. The photograph that I had taken was a form of proof, though not absolute, of that which was real, though it was only to convince me myself, an invitation to know Leah. For many months, almost 14, Professor Hernandez and I had been conversing at length about his experiences, in which the principal protagonist was an extraterrestrial woman. I showed a really genuine interest in his accounts. To me, it seemed a fantastic story, really incredible. As director of the magazine, I had access to many UFO cases, but none as interesting as this one. I believed it, though I had some doubts. Within me, I felt that the professor was telling me no untruth, and one reason why I say this is that it would be so illogical, since he desired no publicity, no fame, no money, nor any other material benefit, as with others with whom I have dealt. This inspired me to continue studying his case. Sometimes I noticed that he would show emotions when speaking of some things concerning Leah. That was logical. He had received a great emotional shock, which I believe the true contactees can understand, and what I say here. Whoever has had an experience of this type suffers an emotional change. At first, after that first encounter with Leah at the university, the professor felt really surprised when she tried to communicate telepathically with him. He felt that he had received certain messages, though he could not be certain where they came from. His research work advanced surprisingly, thanks to many of the formulas that were seen to be improved with opinions that came from him, without his comprehending how or why. He heard formulas in his mind, but he did not at first relate that to the visits of the strange extraterrestrial woman. We conversed at length about the possibility and the ideal means by which the professor could send information to the great powers, advising of his experiences with Leah. We knew that many crazies had been sending letters of pacification to Russia and the United States, but we did not how they were going to react to the information that he had. Sometimes he and I had questioned things that Leah had said, but he never had doubts about the existence of this woman and her extraterrestrial origin. To insistence, he one day promised to take me to meet her, but I thought it was only a promise to pacify me and nothing else. Nevertheless, he had asked Leah if I could come and meet her personally. She told him yes, but that they did not show themselves to the world because at international levels nobody would believe it, and if they began to do so, they would try to capture them and to examine them and attempt to analyze their blood, organs, and circulation, but that she and her friends were disposed to know more terrestrial beings on a peaceful basis. The professor did not tell me of any preparation because, according to him, he himself did not prepare, not even at a mental level, although this was a form of communication with him. We agreed that on the next occasion I would go with him to meet Leah. I asked, "Where is the place? How would I go?" I asked. "I will take you," he said. At that time I had a great deal of work at the publishing house, and I soon forgot my promise to him. Up to now all was going well. During that lapse of time we only saw each other 2 or 3 days due to his having to go to the zone of silence to make a report. When he returned, he said that he wanted to remind me of our appointment with Leah. I felt a kind of curiosity. Finally, I was going to meet an extraterrestrial woman. I thought that as a journalist I might be able to convert this into a contact. What should I do? Now I was on the level of the professor. What would happen? As the day approached for my possible encounter with Leah, I began to feel a kind of uneasiness. Frequently in the evening I would think very deliberately about that. What was happening to me? Did I really want to meet Leah out of curiosity or only to unmask the professor? I did not know, but I began to feel an unprecedented fear. I felt very bad. I wanted to go, but I refused to take part in that meeting. If a man of the valor and the integrity of the professor had experienced changes in his personality, could I resist that? The day arrived, and the professor called me early to remind me of the appointment. He was very sure the two of us would go together. He was really quite sure that I would accompany him. The night before, I had not been able to sleep. I was really terrified. I never knew why, but toward morning I stuck my head out the window, and upon looking at the moon and the stars, I felt my heart beating with great force. I felt an undefined emotion. I was not emotionally prepared for such an encounter. I began to think of those who had disappeared and whose disappearances on many occasions was attributed to the UFOs. For that reason, when he called me to tell me that he was coming for me at 5 o'clock, I refused, arguing that I had too much work. The professor then said to me, "I asked Leah if you could come with me to meet her personally, because you want to see if what I've been telling you is true." She answered me, "It is well, you may bring her, but I do not think she wants to come." That surprised me a great deal. Leah knew that I would not come. Had she provoked this psychological ill feeling? Was I not prepared for such an encounter? I had no answer to my questions. The professor had told me that many people could contact them, the extraterrestrials. Their advances do not damage us, and many times they have placed their sciences at the service of whomever, like the professor, become their friends. Their space travels do not endanger us. Many of us, through some subconscious fear, refuse to accept friendship with beings from other worlds, and this fear impedes their coming to have a coherent relationship. I have interviewed other extraterrestrial contactees. Those who really have had some kind of contact experienced a certain fear. That depended on the nature of the contact, on whether it had been involuntary or friendly, or if there had only been silent contact. The professor had already had to confront the problem of a special encounter, and above all had to struggle against himself to believe it. I simply had to remember that I was afraid of the unknown, and I believe that fear is an obstacle by which we terrestrials do not come to accept, as it should be, the presence of those beings. When I told my elder brother about this, he reproached me as a coward, and still today I regret not having gone. 9 years have passed, and it seems that I can return to that time and feel the same ill sensation, only by imagining that I could have been on a spaceship. It is true that my action was incomprehensible, but if you had been in my place, what would you have done? Other civilizations, our galaxy, that which you call Andromeda, moves toward your solar system, a characteristic that other galaxies do not have. This approach facilitates the proximity by which other civilizations travel to your galaxy. Above all, in the following years, you will be surprised to know that in the outskirts of our galaxy may be found thousands of stars similar to those of your planetary system. There are examples of systems that, like yours, engender life, though some of diverse manifestations. Our world is in that which you call Beta Andromeda, but due to the density of planetary mass, some of them move like enormous anti-energy shields by which you cannot detect and identify exactly our radio waves. Our galaxy approaches yours because it already is reaching greater velocity in its movement. Other galaxies are slower due to the weight of their planetary systems. There are stars so dense and heavy that they themselves break the gravitatory movement of the whole system, slowing the advance in their orbits. Our radio waves continue to travel through space. Sometimes they do not reach your system. Because of this, you have not been able to detect such radio waves, the same as with those emitted through a universal mathematical interpretation code, which the more advanced civilizations can identify adequately. The voyage of these waves through space passes through civilizations of elemental knowledge, rudimentary in their investigations. You have advanced considerably, Professor. And look, that could indicate that you are developing authentically, to come to detect not only these radio waves, but great movements of entire galaxies. Great civilizations are found on the opposite side of your galaxy. They have on various occasions already come to your world. They are like elder brothers to you, but their technological advance is not as progressed as some other inhabited planets. They are 1,000 years in advance scientifically of yourselves, but not as advanced as in other universes. It takes them 2 cycles of arc to come to your world. This is because they must pass through worlds in expansion, stars in formation, rains of aerolites, meteors, as well as of highly civilized planets who observe the passage of flotillas in peace and harmony and repel those that cannot be identified. Some civilizations travel in space without taking into account all of these dangers. Our sensors inform us about the proximity of inhabited worlds and alterations in space by changes in the movements of the bodies. This allows us to detect the slightest pebble, though we must trust it much. We have traveled through worlds in extinction. Well then, let us speak of those civilizations that are on the opposite side of your galaxy. They are not in accord with the system that you carry, and the development and the application of your laws and limitations worries them. They know perfectly well that other civilizations visit you, and that they are different and can come from distinct parts of not only your galaxy, but of others, and of other systems also. And these waves of energy of which you speak, are they already detected by my world? Of course, and due to the complexity of the system of information, they spend many years translating it. The Russians who have detected them know that the radio signals come from an intelligent source because of the confirmation of the emissions, but they are late in identifying them. The Japanese also detected the radio waves, but due to the linguistic structure of theirs, it is a little more difficult than with the Russians. According to the mass of the bodies, they stimulate the advance of the radio waves toward energetic states, stars for which, upon being attracted by the sun, are captured as well on your world. You yourselves have confirmed that the increase of mass due to velocity is relative. Because of that, the radio waves can only be captured weakly and faint in some parts of the universe, and clearly in another part more distant. Also in this are included enormous networks of energy that surround the systems through which no waves can pass. When the waves are sufficient to complement a fissionable material, they can provoke a chain reaction. It develops that, according to the states of capture of energy that is found dispersed in the universe, capturing the signal and the retrofeed by which it continues traveling through the universe, is done in the same manner as the travel of light until it encounters a rebound, though I tell you that light, as an energetic element, travels with more speed than radio waves. Many times the ships that travel in the universe can capture them, and upon receiving them send replies, the same having to have the same mathematic codifier as the origin. Many of our ships have a special microsensor to receive these waves, measure their wavelength, where they have traveled through space, from what civilization or group they come, and in what part of the universe they are located. And those civilizations that are found on the other side of the Milky Way, my galaxy, are they also interested in us, the Earth? I asked. Many civilizations who know your location are moved by curiosity to know the advances of planets like yours, and with frequency they investigate and collect knowledge through a universal participation with other civilizations. But there exist other races who come in the peace of authentic sentiment. Sometime in the future we will speak more on this theme. Why not now? She looked pensive as she responded, I don't know if I have authorization. We are destroying our own planet. We continually search the universe, trying to perhaps encounter something else, is what Leah has told me many times. Day after day, a labyrinth of questions rise in my mind. I have asked her to tell me why my limited capacity for discernment and little receptivity is an obstacle so difficult to overcome. I know that contrary to her desire, she used words incomprehensible and terms that at times I did not understand. Likewise, when she was forced to use or employ simple terms in referring to her technical scientific subjects, the grandness of her knowledge was minimized. According to my deductions, she spoke to me in words most accessible which could serve to train me, which much facilitated things for me. I began to become accustomed to my training by Leah, at whatever moment in whatever place she wished. With her today, when I saw her at the University of Mexico walking toward the cafeteria, there was absolutely nothing strange. I knew that she could accomplish almost anything she desired, and I believed that up to then she had become a part of my life. I stopped her when I caught up with her. Hey, I exclaimed. I have many questions to ask you, I said, without stopping to think of the necessity of protocol to greet her. I acted spontaneously, without courteously greeting her. She nodded her head affirmatively and looked at me expectantly. We walked toward the outside in the direction of the parking lot. Leah, I said while we retired from that place, tell me about the uncertain future which day after day I have come to comprehend from all your conversations. Show me that which will come in a form inevitably destructive to assault our planet. Listen, Professor, the terrestrials demonstrate decadent tendencies and moral decline. Nevertheless, the majority live in a period of transition. That is to say, of changes, of metamorphosis. The eclectic community simply observes. Only you can resolve the internal affairs. It is the respect of free will, of the liberty to act. It is a form of living, though that could be disputed, that is respected. Nevertheless, you are gaining if that is what you want, and they demonstrate access to great intergalactic knowledge. However, contrary to that which you hope for your community, the terrestrials demonstrate clear tendencies to decline. The decline of the civilization began some time ago. As thinking beings, you began to incur this in your own species. In only 1 century, you have carried out sufficient nuclear tests that, because of which, for the next 200 years, your humanity will be exposed to radioactive residues from explosions in different parts of your planet. Unfortunately, this is one of the more important reasons why you are losing your ozone layer. This will provoke the solar rays to stimulate the molecules of all living organisms to their maximum level. This will also make many of the viruses that assault the terrestrials reach their optimum resistance. Nevertheless, this will exercise a major stimulation of the cerebral neurons, which contributes to the acceleration of neurophysical ishinja in the humanity world. The memory and the intelligence will be the first cerebral zones to show sensible changes. This will transform the character of each individual, according, of course, to the resistance of each one. The changes will sharpen, whether they are positive or negative, but your own tendencies will always become more acute. The grade of abnormal neuroses will rise noticeably. As a consequence, your aggressiveness will increase and the percentage will rise day by day and month by month. Characteristics will increase and intelligence will be accentuated, but also said stimulations will generate decadence and moral decline in the individual as such. Although it seems to you sometimes that this could benefit humanity, it will prejudice him greatly in genetic order. He will become susceptible to diseases for which there are no known treatments. Respiratory ailments and neurological illnesses will be one form of organic abnormality. After that will come all kinds of degenerative sicknesses. The births of genetically malformed beings will accelerate. The human race suddenly will be confronted by changes in genes, of DNA in mutation. Many species of animals will have disappeared, others will show mutations, and still others will have lost the characteristics of their race. This will show you that, thanks to the indiscriminate use of nuclear tests and the dangerous contaminants that poison the water and the air, the race is suffering mutations. Some of the greatest tragedies of humanity began because of circumstances that seemed ingenious and inoffensive at the time. Because of that, upon analyzing the effects over time, we must first observe the experience which gives us a retrospective view of the past. Much of that which has been done in the areas of science has resulted in death to humanity. The accidents which have occurred in nuclear plants and those which will occur in the future contribute still more to sensitive loss of the ozone. What? Have there been more nuclear accidents? I asked in surprise. Yes, Professor, and for this also there are many reasons. In the first place, you still are not capable of beneficial use of nuclear energy without problems, threats, and dangers to your civilization. There are risks. The movements of ground, such as landslides and earthquakes, though slight, endanger the nuclear plants. This should make man think and know that his habitat is not adaptable to plants of this kind. But wait. The loss of ozone increases the temperature, or diminishes it according to the case. This will easily affect the nuclear plants. No, Professor, you still are not capable for that. It also influences the external movement of the planet. Moreover, the pressures of gravitational change from that date began to increase, which could also put the nuclear plants in danger, as well as other important things. Someone needs to stop this because the result in the future will bring unacceptable damage to humanity. Man, despite his advance, his intelligence, his desire to overcome the barriers of his habitat beyond the atmospheric level which surrounds your planet, opens a great highway towards his own destruction. It is imperative to open a breach toward more knowledge, physical and moral, of the terrestrial being. He has degraded the water, a liquid of optimum excellence, not only on your planet, but in all the universe. He has dirtied his planet, has destroyed hundreds of thousands of living beings, animals, humans, plants and rivers, lakes and oceans contaminated by man, not to mention his absolute lack of respect, not only shown toward those others, but manifested toward himself. There will come a time in which any energy of your world will have a cost much less than that of water. Your world is slowly being converted into a place inappropriate for life. We desire to sound an alarm at once, exposing several reasons. Starvation is not a sentence, it is only the result of world disorganization. You have not dutifully capitalized the goods of the earth. There is indignity, ambition, pride, and you manipulate entire populations, blackmailing them with grains and greens. It is time that you begin to enjoy a true peace in your world. It is time to show the intergalactic humanity that you also have the right to life and knowledge, but this you must authentically earn. Listen, Professor, if today you could take a step backward and stop the nuclear advances in only those which are employed in the use of risky chemical combinations, your terrestrial community would have made an important change and thus one step toward survival. The scientists argue that to stop science is to stop the world, but that is not true. You cannot feel pride in a science that values only its arsenals of deadly weapons. The next decades will show the contrary. The terribleness of this is that the tribute to the weapons that today are found distributed in all countries is the death of hundreds, perhaps thousands, of innocent persons, some of which never heard talk of the liberation of the atom. This end finds no justification whatsoever, not the least being that if science is to advance, you have to sacrifice the life of a whole planet and even prejudice the life of the solar system. The chemical weapons produce degenerative illnesses not only in men that come in contact with them, but in the water and the plants that have been contaminated, poisoned out performance they, as well as the prejudice of the human organism. In your role, is the scientific advance as dangerous as on this planet? Well, not only on my world, but in other civilizations they have something like an important agreement on the advance of the civilization through science, the principal importance always being the preservation of life. The tests do not take into account the proportion in which you make them, and if they treat of weapons, they should be tested in their minimum proportion. Though with our procedures there is no need to test this and that. We utilize enormous brains that indicate the combinations to us, such as can make, the results as well as the potentiality and the damage that could be provoked. In different mediums or different planets, we must not destroy, not even in areas that could have a high probability of benefit to our community, if perhaps those weapons could leave residues that might damage some small part of our planet. By such we abstain from affecting a world only for the benefit of a limited number of inhabitants. Our rules and regulations are severe, but sufficiently secure as to not expose the security of our world or of others on which life is manifested. If we change any of these rules, we could see ourselves exposed to severe judgment before the major community of those who associate with us as allies, as co-partners in investigations and co-partners in knowledge acquired at large by our search of the universe. But we must, to obtain this interchange, show that we are highly trustworthy and that we are not going to negatively utilize the knowledge acquired. We must show that we are really an adult community, controlling our emotions, as well as having a profound respect for life, for beings of other planets, for organisms in evolution, and finally, for that which vibrates in some form of existence. If we alter those rules, we will be left out of partnership in that intergalactic community of great, knowledgeable beings who help us so much.